All right. Okay. Another day at it. Good morning, everybody. And welcome to the Listen and Learn series podcast. I'm your host, Jason Washington, where we discuss various topics surrounding career development, HR for small to mid-sized businesses, entrepreneurship, and many other topics that are relevant to what's happening in the world today, just to be able to provide some support, some encouragement, and value to all of you, the listeners. Uh, on this show, it's my goal to be able to share and provide keys to unlocking knowledge that will help propel you to another level. Throughout my career, I've been privileged to be able to talk to some great individuals, whether that's from work, just meeting, networking, and had some amazing conversations. With those conversations, there was a lot of information shared, a lot of knowledge that I gained, and I thought, well, why not be able to share that with others? And so that's kind of how this platform came about. Um, those encounters happen to be off the record, and so I wanted to do my best to help bring them to the forefront for everybody to hear. The Listen and Learn series podcast is my way of bringing those fascinating conversations to your ears for your enjoyment and listening. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about shifting strategy towards opportunity. I'm happy to be joined by Miss Dorita Hatchett, owner, lead strategist with DL Hatchett and Associates. Uh, she has a business, and her passion to be able to help small businesses uh, and entrepreneur endeavors to develop and implement strategies that's going to help their business grow and get more clients. What that equals to is bringing in more revenue. So, um, my friend, she is somebody I look to as a mentor, somebody I look to as family, and I just want to thank her for being on this morning. She blessed me and given me the opportunity throughout this COVID time to step out of my box, and so I couldn't let this go by without giving her the opportunity to speak. She has a message and she has a lot of great things that she's doing, and I want everybody to be able to hear. So just while pivoting a business, it's almost like breathing life into your business if something is not going the way you want, or you think about a different opportunity, a different product that you may be able to offer. Um, but startups, they develop their new big ideas at different times. So being able to get a clear idea on the what, the why, the how, and the who, sometimes you struggle with. And so, but this also can determine how you can monetize their idea and provide a path to keep going. um Dorita has done that and with her business, and so it's my pleasure to welcome and introduce Miss Dorita Hatchett of DL Hatchett and Associates. Good morning, Dorita.
Good morning, Jason. How are you? We
I'm
finally
doing
made it
good.
happen.
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. I'm actually been involved in a conference. It was an interesting conference over the last 2 days, and today it'll wrap up. I have meetings this afternoon, but it's you may have heard of it. It's out of your area, Bear County. They did a meetup, kind of a matchmaking, which is great because you get a chance to talk directly with different vendors. And one of the areas that I wanted to go to with Leap HR is after government contracts and different things like that. So I'm learning more about the RFPs that are out there. But people have been very helpful. So shout out to Bear County and your
San
hometown,
Antonio,
San
that's my
Antonio
place.
area. So, Dorita, just want to go over a few things and let listeners know. You have been involved in programming and planning for over the last 32 years in some facet. You're a San Antonio native.
Yeah, I
Uh,
started when I was 6.
when so you knew that you were destined to do this. 6 years old. Wow. Um, at six, I think I was still throwing rocks at car windows or anything like that. But that's the beauty about life. You some can find it early, some can find it late, but the fact is, if you're able to find it, and part of what we'll talk about today is that gift and that understanding, and unlocking that knowledge. Dorita, she graduated from Southwestern University, which is in Georgetown, Texas. She's been in Houston ever since she graduated, and she started a position with St. Thomas, the University
Yeah,
of
well,
St.
actually,
Thomas.
3 years. I worked at
Three.
my alma mater. As soon as I graduated, they offered me a job there. So I worked there for 3.5 years. And that's actually how I found out about the job in Houston. So came
Wow.
home.
That
Mhm.
is awesome, and I'm not surprised at all that they offered you a opportunity right out of school. Um, Dorita's over the last 11 and a half years while she was at University of St. Thomas, she managed campus activities and the student life program. She's also put on programs like the campus center clubs and different organizations there, just for new student and family orientation. She moved on from St. Thomas and worked with her church. She was the assistant direct executive assistant to the pastor there, where she led a number of projects and helped bring light to what was going on. And from there, she got another opportunity, to be able to work with the University of Houston as the associate director of special events for the chancellor and president. And I know you from events, you know how to put an event on, and you're gonna make sure that whomever is doing so is gonna do it with excellence. So, just a few more things about her that I know you need to hear. She had an opportunity to where she had to pivot. When she was at U of H, she had some things going on, and so she left there and went on to be the construction liaison with and public engagement director for Metro. Uh, there was a huge project we all know about, which was the Metro Rail that runs through downtown. She had her hand in that, in making sure that it ran and operated, to be able to get people back and forth the way they are now, and bring so much to the city of Houston as far as accessibility and moving around quickly. So she she actually spent time there, and then she had decided to go. It was time to go full time with her business. At that moment, that's where I want to turn things over to you, because it's taken off from there, and I can't do it justice, but I know she can. So, Dorita, go ahead and finish out telling us a little bit about where things started once you started your business.
Well, it was one of those moments where, like you said, it was sort of a better late than never moment. And
Absolutely.
um, I'm actually there again, but at the time it was like, the whole job hunting thing just didn't seem like that was going to really work out for me. I was pretty clear at that point, how I like to work, how I work best. And I just said, you know what? I mean, if I'm ever going to give it a shot full time, I got to try it right now. And so I
Absolutely.
did. And so, at that time, I happened to, save a little bit of money. And I knew that I actually started my business back in 2003. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No.
So it's really like 17, 18 years old. However, it was one of those businesses I fell into by accident. So I was helping people all the time and doing events. And I did an event for somebody and they said, we'd like to pay you. So I never asked for my first dollar. And so I was like, okay, how much? And they told me, and I
Absolutely.
took it, and I thought it was great. And I laugh now at how much I took for stuff that I do today. It's like, yeah, like I don't even think we can't even talk, about that. And I'm grateful. I don't mean that to
Yeah.
be kind of arrogant or anything. I'm just grateful that I know better. Um,
Absolutely.
and you work hard, and I learned how to divide it out and be like, oh, I'm making $2 an hour. Um, so I learned quickly to stop that.
Absolutely.
So anyway, people started paying me to do stuff. Then I started asking for the money, but I always had a job. I always had a full-time job. So people knew they were working around my job and when I had time. And then I noticed that, back in 2014, when I went full time, what I had never considered is that, was I charging the right amount of money? And so
Absolutely.
what ended up happening is that when I had to pay all my personal bills and all my business bills with my business money, I realized I was not anywhere close to what I needed to be. So I had to pivot in what I was doing because the type of things I was doing wasn't going to ever bring me the kind of money it took to take care of both things myself. Um, and I had been following some people and in some programs, and then I noticed, hey, wait a minute, they're in a two-income household. And so maybe they really have maybe more of an option to do that because they've got help. And so I pivoted then in terms of what I was going to do, got into some coaching programs, um, took a shot, spent some money investing in myself.
Oh,
And it was new space for me, what was going on. It was new what I was learning. I was out there really actually upset. Like all of us are sitting over here and we're not making any money. And these people over here making money doing what?
right.
With marginal, I don't want to say that in a bad way, but kind of, not as strong as some people I know who
Yep.
are out there in the game. We just don't know that there are some things out there that can be done a certain way. And so that's really, I was determined at that moment to just learn what I could, soak it all up. I did what everybody does, paid the wrong
Wow.
person, a lot of money, didn't have any success. And at first I was mad about it. And then the point I took was, really and truly, I know now what I don't want. Um, I knew then what I was looking for, in a coach, in a coaching program, in a consultant, all those types of things. And there were things that I learned. And so from the person I thought that I learned the least from was actually the biggest lesson I learned.
Wow.
And I would think I was in her program maybe 6 months before we had a moment where I went, aha.
Mm,
And I spent 6 months kind of mad about it.
mm.
I was locked in for the year. She was getting it, whether I participated or not. And I had to change my attitude about it. And we did a know your numbers seminar. And
Ah,
that's just it. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest numbers person, but I am kind of. And so
hold
I
that thought.
really,
Hold that thought if you don't mind, because if I can mention that a little, we can talk about that a little later on, knowing your numbers, because for every business, that's probably well, it's not probably, it is the most important thing that you have to know. But if you want to continue to grow and keep your business going, so just we'll come back to the knowing your
yeah, put
number
a pin
part.
in that. Yeah. So, so after that, I realized that I'm going to get out of it what I'm going to get out of it, just try to get the most out of it. Um, Try to work on building relationships with other people, building cohort groups. I found that that's what they were doing in the program. So everyone they referred me to was someone in their circle. And I was like, all right, I have a circle.
Yep.
Let me start finding my circle and building my circle and all of us developing each other and using each other. And when I turned to that, that's what really changed in my business. And
Wow.
so there are people to this day where, if you ask me to do a certain kind of event, off the top of my head, I can tell you everybody I'm going to use. I know what they charge. I
Yep.
know how it goes. So I can, right now I can probably roll some numbers off if you say, well, how much is it to do this or that? Um, and every answer starts with depends. So that's where I was, and so I just started learning and doing, and people started trusting me to do work with them. I had one person in particular really who took a chance on me, and for that I'm forever grateful. And we did some really awesome things in the
Absolutely.
time that we were together. And wouldn't ever 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 trade it for the world. And but that led to different things or meeting different people. I started just working on myself,
Hmm.
and that kind of just brought me up, to different points. My mindset changed about what I would call pivoting
Hmm.
and doing things differently. And so I'm really big about that. I'm really big on, hey, okay, this is not working. What do we need to do differently? And for me, definitely, okay, let me just sit down. The definition of an insanity is doing it over and over again.
I know.
And so sometimes I don't know what to do, but I know I can't keep doing that.
Absolutely.
Um, and so I'm faster at seeking answers. I'm faster at letting stuff go. I'm faster at letting people go. Um, and just moving on. I'm not mad about it. I think it's all for a reason. I believe there's no coincidences.
Yes.
My approach to life and my business is one word: intentionality.
Hmm.
And so I'm very intentional about what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with. Even when I may have made a decision and that maybe it ended up not being so great,
Right.
it was still intentional when I did it. Um,
Gotcha.
I listen, I network with intention, you know that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I don't do traditional networking, like, okay, hey, business card, swap, swap, swap. I just believe that maybe 6 years ago I came to this, for real came to it, is that, the reason no conversation is trivial to me is I think that when God is telling me something that I kind of didn't know,
Mm.
he's really telling it to me for somebody else.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I know a lot of inconsequential stuff. I know the most random stuff. And I know it until it becomes relevant, if that makes sense. And
Yes,
so
I understand.
yeah, and so I'm the kind of person where I ask a lot of questions because I'm trying to determine what it is you're trying to teach me and what it is I'm supposed to learn from you. And really, it might sound weird to say this, but I
Mm-mm.
started getting confirmation almost within a week every time.
Wow.
Every time I was intentional, like, I'm listening. I don't know why I'm knowing what you're saying. I don't know why you're telling it to me. But I said, okay, God, somebody's coming behind this, very quickly. And it would 7 to 10 days, always. And I would always say, oh my God, look at this random call. But it was not random at all. So
It just
once I learned that, that's one of a special sauce for me. I know it.
wow.
Is I listen intently, and my example is always that I had a friend tell me about fracking, and was doing a fracking job in Alaska, and we were
Yes.
talking, and I was like, "What is that?" And he was telling me what it was, and it was very like whatever. And about 4 days later, somebody was looking for a job. He had fracking experience, and this
Wow.
person they had been looking, and I was like, "Well, do you want to call this?" I mean, and I'm a connector. And so
Yes.
I pay attention now because I know that the power is in the connection, and that sometimes I'm the plug.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I just don't take that lightly. So
Yes.
that's how I do my business. And so therefore my pivots are all about, hey, you need to meet so and so. Jason's doing this, so you need to meet Jason, and then you guys need to do this together. And sometimes people end up together and don't know how they got together. But I believe that that's what that's for. And if people
Absolutely.
would collaborate more and do more things together, I think we could do some bigger things.
Yes, I mean that ideally you are absolutely right. How do we get over that hump? That's the the magic question, but it can be done. There's enough out here in this world for everybody. We just have to kind of put some egos and different things aside to just know, like, okay, let's work business. Let's not think about personal. Let's not think about that. And that's what you do a good job of. Like you said, with the networking, you one, and I hate to make it sound like that, you don't deal with people who are not going to be of value to themselves, to you, or to whomever you may be able to introduce them to. If you stand on your word, and you every your contacts, your everything, it means a lot to you, and so you don't you don't do any fluff. It's straightforward, but it's exactly what's needed. And that's one thing, the first time meeting you, that I've appreciated about your personality and who you are, and that's why I think your business is just going to continue to flourish. So thank you for sharing that. Just real quick, I know you've told us a little bit about yourself, and we know you're from the San Antonio area, but with all of this, there has to be a desire and a passion that you have to do this on an ongoing basis, and be dedicated to it. Where does that come from?
I think I've always been like this. And
Mhm.
shout out to Converse Jets in San Antonio, Texas. Um, I've always been like this. I didn't know it. I've had to come to grips in the last few years when I'm really doing a lot of personal development that
Mhm.
my tendency for a number of years was to play small.
Yep.
My tendency was to act like I wasn't as smart as I was. And so just to be accepted in certain places. And I know that kind of sounds weird. And even what you know about me, I'm really not that person. Um, but for a long time, in order to get along, I just really kind of stayed quiet about a lot
Mhm.
of things. And it could be age, but I'm sort of past it now. And maybe after I went over the 5 mark, you get permission to just sort of kind of say and do, a little bit more than what you were saying. And I just think you sort of come into yourself. I'm really happy
Absolutely.
with myself. I love myself. I love, just the journey that I'm on, and the people around me, and just, the friendship circle I have, and really the collegial circle. Um,
Yes.
that's been the biggest thing during COVID. That has been the most positive thing,
Yeah.
is just how
Yeah.
my circle has grown with people who are cheering for me and who are pushing me. And it's like, I'm not afraid anymore to say I don't know. I'm not afraid to say I don't know how to do this and I need help. And
Right.
so I'm in 3 or 4 circles where it's just hundreds of people, where you get in there and say, I've got this coming up, and I haven't done it for a long time, or I know what it is, but I haven't done it, and here's what they want me to do. And people just are like, hey, let's get on a call. And 5 or 6 people from around the world jump on the call, talk you through it, and just help you, figure it out. And so that looks like, for me, during COVID, I just went online, and I
Yes.
just started, my whole goal was, I'm going to serve my way out of this situation. Um, and I really haven't had a lot of work. There's definitely no in-person events. And so I've had to really rebuild what I'm doing and learn new stuff. And, I went through like Zoom certification, and I'm in these groups like Masters of Zoom, and, engaging virtual meetings. And
Yeah.
it's like, now it's funny because I know so much stuff. I sound like the oddball around people sometimes, because I'm like, oh my God, so we could apply this, and I see what's going
Yeah.
on in other places. And I know it works, and I know it's great. And I know some opportunities to jump on things before, they become sort of passe, and all of
Absolutely.
that. And so that's what I did with my time, was built my professional circle of people. And so I started having the opportunity to jump on calls with them and be of some support to them. And then in that, it led to people hiring. I'm on a production list now with a couple of companies who, they get large events and they need people to come in and fill in. And,
Mhm.
so learning how to facilitate lots of things online, parties, meetings, conferences. I've demoed on, I can't even tell you how many platforms. And that's what I do all day, every day, is I'm on platforms, I'm on masterminds. We're talking about the work, we're helping each other, we're supporting each other. I'm hosting, online events. And then every now and again, I dibble dabble in something outside a little bit, and
Yeah.
then come on back inside. Um,
Well,
yeah,
well, I
but
mean, that's definitely commendable in itself. For one, I've said the same thing. This time that we've had to kind of disconnect from the world in a sense, and then by not being able to do the norm that people would do, uh, it was a perfect time for learning. It was a perfect time for growth and kind of re-looking within. And I had another conversation on the podcast with Mr. Ray Jackson. He mentioned about career pivoting at the time, but we've also had to do life pivots and really look within and see, okay, like, is this for me? If not, let me change directions. I have the time and ability to. So, and you just happen to do it with your business, and it worked out, and you kind of got yourself out there, like you said, surrounding yourself with good people, communicating on an ongoing basis. That's where it's at. If not, then it'll set yourself up for a little later. So thank you, thank you so
and that
much
was
for
it,
sharing that.
Jason. When I first started, even when I had you on, I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna do this.
That's it.
Um, and I'm gonna, I had been talking about going live for a year and wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I laid up for a couple of days in shock, and then I watched a lot of TV, a lot of
Yeah.
Netflix. And then after a few days, I was like, all right, I got online. And
Yeah.
I just started. And it was like, okay, what I don't want to do is look up in 8 months and I'm behind the 8 ball. That just wasn't where I was going to be. And
Yeah.
that was where the pivot came for me, is just that I had to make a decision. And I wasn't judging people who were like, whatever, they were having a tough time with it, and all of that. But I chose to just take a really positive outlook about it. I did, oh my God, so much learning and classes, and um, you know, preparing to take some tests for, all kinds of things.
Yes.
Got some stuff with my personal health under control as
Yes.
well. I mean, something I couldn't do for a long time because I work for myself. I didn't have the time to take off to have surgery, and so I did. Um, But, coming back, it was hard because then, you had to stop things before, stop things during, stop things after.
Right.
And you still have to come back and you have to be relevant still and find clients. And so thankfully, it's slow, but it's picking up. And I'm definitely feeling positive about it, and definitely knowing that there's really nowhere to go for me but forward and
Gotcha.
up. And so I'm okay with it. And so to me, there's nothing negative about it for me. Do I wish this, that, or the other? Yeah. But when I start thinking like that, I usually sit down and say, well, what is it I have to do to make
Hmm.
that happen? You
Wow,
know,
that's awesome. So just, looking back over your career, and it's varied some. How has that helped and maybe hurt you?
I think because for me, it took a while to figure out what I was really good at. And I have the ability, if you can teach it to me, I can do it.
Hmm.
That's so I walk confidently in that, so I may not know. You call me and say, Dorita, you want to do this HR thing with me? I'm gonna tell you honestly, like I don't really know what that is, but okay, what you can count on me to be the person to get in there and learn it.
Yes.
If I ever had to go back to McDonald's, guarantee I've read the book about how to move up to manager, in 2 months. And,
Right.
what do you have to do to get in line to have a store? I mean, my mentality is always that. I don't care
Mm,
what I've ever done in life.
yes.
I'm always like, all right, I mean, there's nothing I'm beneath, that's beneath me. It is whatever I got to do to get it done. I do it. And I really try to beat myself, or if someone's trying to prevent me from doing something, then I'm not competitive at all, but I get competitive if you're trying to block me.
Hmm.
And
I
so,
can.
yeah, I'm very much like, hey, what's the rule here? Are we playing by the rules? And then, you might get me for a minute because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. But when I figure out what's going on, I'm kind of dangerous,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I,
the little Aquarian, the little Pisces kicks in. And so, so I'm that, but I'm only
yeah.
competitive really with myself. And
Yes.
yeah, and I always just want to be better and do better. And I always think about it. I'm like, I think the biggest moment, the pivot, Jason, to be honest with you, was very personal.
Mm,
I think like in an 18-month span, lost a lot of members of my family. My grandfather passed, then my uncle passed, then my mother's husband passed of 33 years, and he had been her caregiver.
mm,
And then in May of the next year, my real dad passed, and then my mom passed in November. And I really spent 18 months really in grief,
mm,
and really not knowing. I was just internally struggling through it. Um, and just trying to stay afloat, just trying to paddle and make life work. But the moment my mother passed, I really felt like I had a talk with God that just said, all right, you got to grow up.
yeah. I see.
And
That's
and
that's
I
tough
was
to do.
50 at that point. Yeah, you gotta grow up because there's no one else. You can't call her and ask her opinion. You
Mm,
can't be in a jam and she's gonna help you out of it. You can't say, "Hey, can you make a call?" Nothing. And so I think the whole feeling of really being out here by myself made me have to like straighten up and go, "Whoa, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa." I had to wake up and figure out what is going on in all areas of my life and what
yeah.
did I want my business to look like. And
Yeah.
I had another coach friend who used to talk to me. Did like a money mindset class,
Hmm.
and we talked about what do you want your business to look like? And so when things are going haywire in your business, whether it's relationships with other people,
Yeah.
or the agreement's not right, or there's this misunderstanding, or whatever it is, what's your role in it so that you don't do it again? And how do you want, even if it's out of control,
Yeah.
stop and decide, how do you want to run your business? And then from that moment, make a decision and then act on it. And so I had to do some things this summer where I just had to like, okay, this is uncomfortable, or I don't like this, or this is not what I want. I think I really want to do some, go in another direction with this. And so making decisions left and right. And I've been constantly doing
Hmm.
um, ever since I started thinking of it like that. So in a way, maybe I'm tough on my clients a little bit because, they're kind, everybody's being wishy. And I'm just saying, yo, make a decision.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. I don't judge what you do. I don't, those decisions are not mine to make.
Yeah.
When you make it, then I can help you, but I can't help you until you make it,
Yeah.
you know.
And
So.
And I'm sure you run into that quite a bit, because sometimes startups, entrepreneurs, they're trying to really get their footing, and maybe at the point with you, you're like, okay, you have this idea birthed inside of you. You have this. What's the holdup? Let's move forward. We've done enough wasting time. Let's move forward. So that kind of brings to the next thing, like your role as your business strategist. How or what does that mean to you in terms of how you work with your clients, and what is a business strategist? I guess the highlight of what you do.
The gist of it is helping people get clear on what it is that they are trying to do.
Hmm.
And I think the what I was going to say about the answer to your other question is that I can do a lot of different things, and it took me a while to focus. And when I did events for so long, people were used to calling me to do an event.
Hmm.
um, Probably 4 years ago, I started telling people, oh, I sell strategy and all of that. And I wasn't selling anything. I couldn't get the business because I wasn't talking in a way that was resonating with people understanding it really was what they needed. It wasn't
Yeah.
what they wanted, though. And I'm sitting over here going, no, 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 this is what you need.
Yeah.
And I had to learn I can't tell people that, and that people have to come to that themselves. So my struggle is always seeing what's going on
Yeah.
and then having to learn how to pull back and help them see it, or be patient enough that people leave, they come back. They leave, they come back. We
Yeah.
have the same conversations year after year after year. It's actually pretty stressful for me because I want it so bad for them.
Hmm.
And I want to see them succeed, and I know they can, and I really see a vision for where they're going. And my skill set is, if you can envision it and you're clear about what it is, I can help you get there. I'm
Yes.
very good at thinking through a pathway forward. I ask a lot of questions. That's really my style, is because I'm really trying to understand, do you understand what it is you're doing?
Absolutely.
The big question now that I'm learning to really talk through people with is their why. Is because if you don't have a strong why and you don't know why you're doing it, then you'll do all kinds of things and you'll waffle all over the place. Um, and everything that sounds good, you're
Right.
kind of running after. Um, and I equate my clients to, the octopus. They got a lot of stuff going on, and you're not going to tell them they can't do it. You're not going to tell them that that's not going to happen. You're not going to tell them that traditional focus on the one thing. And so, what I have to do with people who are attracted to me is to
Mhm.
get them to focus in the moment on one thing. And so,
Right.
let's get past it. Let's get a win, and let's you feel comfortable that we're going in the right direction, we will address the next thing as soon as we can. And so it's the positive and the negative about it. And when we get it and we get it right, it's really good.
Absolutely.
Sometimes when we don't, it's not good for a while, but generally speaking, it comes back around. When people are ready, they call back.
Yeah,
I mean, it
absolutely.
really, so I've learned to be patient. That's all my life. I've had that skill. I get in a situation, I'm fighting. It's fighting against it, and then when I learn to pull back and let go and release what I think is supposed to happen, then generally speaking, in time it comes back around.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like,
Uh,
oh, one of the things I did, you were asking before, is that
Go ahead.
had the blessed opportunity to work for the Super Bowl,
Yes.
and for me, that was really in alignment with how my life works.
Yeah.
I tried and tried and tried. When I heard it was coming, I mean, from the minute they announced it, I was on the phone. I was
Mm.
calling who I thought were the movers and the shakers that would put me on, that I had a good enough relationship. I'd done some things for them. Maybe they would feel like it was time, and I was owed this opportunity. And man, nobody was moving. I mean, people were looking at me like, what are you talking about? And I spent a lot of time chasing circles and trying to figure out, how do I get in? How do I get in?
But
And
you
the
believe.
craziest thing was that I looked up one day and I saw who was involved. And I had spent those 4 years downtown working on the rail. And all of the Super Bowl, pretty much all of the public stuff was
Yes.
downtown.
Yes.
So I knew a lot of those faces and names. And I made one phone call and I said, hey, can I talk to you about how I can get in? And he said, are you interested? And I said, yeah. And he said, hey, come down Friday and come talk to my guy. And I did. And when I left, I thought, okay, so how do I apply? And he said, here's the process, but I pretty much think that you're going to work out.
Hmm.
And I was like, he said, but it's a different thing. It's not in events. It's in
Yes,
your transportation and parking. And I was so excited. I was like, yes, again, get to learn something new. And
absolutely.
it turned out that while I thought I don't know a thing about parking and transportation, that I just spent 4 years downtown on every block between the Dynamo Stadium and Hobby in a 5 mile radius. I
Yep.
knew every street. I knew who worked in every building, who was the building manager. I knew all of that, which turned out to be really more of the same work that I'd done and the
Wow.
people from the city. And I'm so blessed. I got to tell my mom a week before she passed that I had got
Mm,
to the Super Bowl because that was highlight stuff.
yeah.
And I passed on a career going down the sports route years ago
Yeah.
because nobody told me it was a job. Nobody told me. Did it since high school, and nobody told me it was a job. And so when you asked earlier, it's like I've always been this way. I've
Hmm.
always been like, hey, what's the job? What's the task?
Yeah.
I really was terrible at basketball.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
played 1 year and I thought these girls are too doggone serious. They are trying to hurt people. So I became the manager of the team in the seventh grade. And I probably was the manager till I graduated of every team, basketball.
Mm,
So that whole thing, you've seen me do, some of the sporting events and run
yes.
those things. And that's who I am.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm not somewhere in sports. And so did work with the Oilers while they were here. Actually got a job to move with them. I didn't want to
Yeah.
move. I didn't want to go to Tennessee.
You didn't want
Um,
to go there.
could I kick myself now or what? But I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go for the money.
Yeah.
But
I
so
know.
that's a pivot I had to make, and that's indicative of how everything works. When I push too hard, it's
Yes.
usually not there for me, and so usually I have to back up and go, "What's the opportunity?" And please God, open that up for me, and He
Yeah.
does. And I go, and sometimes I get into things I have no idea what I'm getting myself into because I know if it opened up for me like that, it'll work out, and I'll figure it out.
So with that said, what you do is not necessarily a niche to certain industries. It can be open to any. And so I want to know, what kind of people do you work with, or what type of companies would benefit from working with you?
Right now, I would say small to mid-sized companies.
Hmm.
Um, for me now, I'm preferring a company that's a little more established and that has other people in the company, maybe more so than a solopreneur.
Hmm.
I will help a solopreneur, but they get frustrated because just like me, we do all the roles. We're marketing, accounting, and all of that. If we're talking to ourselves, it's a staff meeting.
Yes.
But and that whole joke, but um, I help people who, for whatever else they're doing, have decided to do something new.
Yeah.
So that means you could be very established in your business,
Yes.
but you are entering into something new in your business, or you're doing a special project in your business. Or some companies are getting these contracts with the city or the county, and they need to execute them. So I've run people's contracts before.
Mm,
So done things with flood control district and community engagement and public meetings and things like that. And so I've been
wow.
on people's teams because that's not what they do necessarily. And I do the details. I don't know how to get the contracts. They do. So it's a good partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're pivoting to something new. So that means I've had a business for a really long time. It's successful. I'm deep in it. I know how all of this works. I don't run their business, but they might decide that they want a nonprofit and they don't have time they don't know what they need to do, how to start it. And
Right.
then they know what kind of programs they want to do. They know what they're really trying to do in the community, but what does that look like? So
Hmm.
all the way from helping them with formation and the paperwork and waiting out the process and helping to follow through on that. And then, the programs, helping them structure it.
Right.
And then for some implement, I'm not going to do as much of that, but just to help them get off the ground and get it going. So, and then it's someone who's new, who's just starting out. But one thing, the commonality has to be that they're ready to invest in themselves and the process, that they're clear about what it is they're doing, that they actually want to do some of the work and really most of the work,
Yeah.
get it done, that they're willing to say, okay, hey, what is it? Let's talk about it. Here's what you need to do. Go do that. And then come back and we'll do the next steps. Um, what ends up happening is people want your help and then they really kind of want to go, you know what, tell you what, why don't you just go do it? And I've done that before, and some of it, it's like at the end of the day there has to be skin in the game on both sides.
Right.
And I can't put all that effort and energy and keep focusing and changing. It takes me off my path, it takes me off what it is I'm trying to do. So strategy to me is, what is that thing you're trying to accomplish and do? What's that big idea you have? Let's get clear on the idea and what it looks like, what resources you have, what resources you don't have. Let's determine what some of the next steps are and put those down. Let's make budgets. Let's find out how much this thing is going to cost. Are you ready to invest in it? Let's take a time to see, can you engage a team? And can you, in the short run, you may pay a lot more money because we're paying maybe contractors
Yes.
or virtual assistants or several part-time people. We're trying to see how this works or that works before we commit to someone full-time. And then how do we assess that? And is that really working? And is this a go? Is it a no-go? Long before you ever do the thing, we've had all this conversation about
Yeah.
what this is going to look like and are you ready to do it? And then now, do you want to do it? Now that you know what you know, because it's okay to not want to do it. Sometimes we
Mhm.
get caught doing stuff for a really long time that we don't want to be doing.
Yes, I know what you mean.
And it's just giving, how do you give yourself permission to make a better decision and to do it differently? So that's the strategy is, and then really kind of staying in the ear about, are we on path?
Yes.
Um, are we doing what we said we were going to be doing? How did you get over here? Oh, well, how do you have that client right now? What are you doing for her? Oh,
Yeah.
how'd that come up? And every now and again, as a small business owner, I've done it. It's okay. Maybe, cash is tight, cash flow. You might do something out of scope, but understand that there needs to be a time frame on it, and there's a purpose. And when you hit that goal, then get out of that
Get on
and
out
get
of
back on and know when you're off path so that you can get back on path. That's the
Yeah.
key. If you know when you decide, that's up to you. If you don't know, is where I'm trying to course correct and say, hey, whoop, whoop, come back to center. And so for me, that's what I call strategy. And here's the thing: people think they don't need it. They might call it. They may say, "I need to get organized," or
Mhm.
they'll say, "I don't know. I got all this stuff going on. I'm not sure how to put it all together."
Right.
For me, that's strategy. Or they'll say, I know this will work, and they can tell it to you, and they're passionate. They light up when they tell you about it. It's everything. And
Yeah.
then they're kind of, and then what? You
And then
know,
what? The
and
deer in the headlights.
yeah, and I love it because, oh, I wish I could write a book. I really didn't even think about it in the past, but I've heard some of the most awesome stuff. I
Mm.
have heard some of the most awesome visions
Wow.
about what people really want to do in the world. And so as I've gotten more clear, that's really what I'm trying to do, is help people get these visions out in the world, because people can help people can
Yes.
impact people can help make people money, people can make dreams come true. All of that is available. If
Yeah.
everybody were doing what they were purposed to do, it's available for everybody.
It's so simple. It's I mean, it's a
It's not
process.
and it is. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
process, but it,
It's
it, it is and it isn't. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
but
a
it can be
mindset
done.
too. You have
Yeah.
to be ready to turn that on. And
Yes.
so some of that is a lot of our conversation. People
Mhm.
think they're ready and then they're not ready. Or people think they're ready and then they get overwhelmed with the process. And I get it. And it's valid. It's very
Mhm.
valid.
Yeah,
And that's why sometimes you got to step away, and then when you're ready, you got to come back to it.
absolutely. I since knowing you, and I don't look at your necessarily business like a service. I look at it as more like, you know what, you got a partner here with you. I want to partner with you to help make your business better. I'm be an accountability partner as well. And I'm gonna push and challenge you, because if I can't get those three things, then it essentially it won't work, because business people always look like, okay, how I'm going to sell my product, or how I'm going to sell this service, not thinking about all these other aspects that come into it, or they may not think about it initially. And so that's why I like what you're doing, because it challenges. It's always been about challenging. I tell my kids a lot. I said, you know what, we like lemonade. I say, if nobody squeezes that lemon, how you gonna get the juice out of that to make the lemonade? And we need people in our life. You talked about your circle earlier, and working with your mastermind group. That's your squeezing. I mean, that's where you can go and get the real truth and help and support you need. And so, like you're saying, you can work with every business. Are they willing to work with you because of what they're going to get? And that's you're only looking for success. And so I appreciate that. So if that's the case, what have been some of your biggest obstacles with what you do, is if whether it's from the client or even your own mindset?
A couple of things. One is, people who, so you bill them and they pay you, and then you have your time together, and then they may have decided to do something or not do something, and then they feel like, oh, that wasn't worth it, or I didn't get anything out of that. And then you have to go back and you have to say, okay, well, so when you left, what'd you do? And when you left, what did you implement? Or if you were confused, overwhelmed, didn't understand,
Right.
did you call back and say, hey, let me listen again? Or did we record that? Let me listen to the recording. um, maybe I'm stuck right here. And I've been stuck before.
Hmm.
I've sat in a program 8 weeks and mad because I'm still sitting here going, I don't understand what we're doing, you know. And sometimes I've had to call another person who I thought understood.
Yes.
Um, and I will tell you, Jason, the hard part is that sometimes I've been in some masterminds with people where maybe they didn't look like me, and there wasn't sort of some commonality on some things. And I felt like they just don't even get who I
Hmm.
am. They don't get who I'm helping. And so some of the stuff they're telling me to do, I'm going, this is not going to make sense to people in my community. It's just
Yes.
not going to make sense. And so they're not willing to even think outside of their box of what they're doing, to coach you down a better path. It
Right.
just is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, and my thing is, sometimes I'm telling people, if you don't know and you're paying me for this time and this moment, and I give you a really like a laid out plan, like, trust me, try it,
Hmm.
because I can help you if it doesn't work, because I know where it probably falls apart. But if
Right.
you do your own thing your way, I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to come back and help you because I don't really know what we're doing now. And
Absolutely.
so sometimes it's just getting people to, they trusted you to hire you and pay you, and then they don't trust what you're saying, or they want to argue about what you're saying, they want to debate what you're saying, they want to know all of a sudden. Now every time you say something, they're like, yeah, I know. Then I'm like, I'm not
What
exactly
do you
sure why
need?
you called me. And
Yeah. What do you need me for?
sometimes it's like, I might even take a while before I ever give someone an invoice. I may still give work because I can tell this ain't going to work out. So I'll
Yeah.
do a little bit and they'll be like, oh, wait, let's get this invoice. And I'm like, because now also I've learned how to interview you too. I have
Yes.
learned now what I call, in our group, we talk about a right fit client. And so a right fit client for me is ready to listen. They're
Yeah.
ready to try something new. They are ready to invest in that, whatever that is. And what that might look like is, first questions I'm going to ask you are things like, tell me about the infrastructure of your business. Like, do you have a calendaring system?
Mm.
Is it electronic? What are we doing that's so manual? It's taking up all of our time. Can we
Right.
automate some things? Do we have email lists? There's people with, they've done things that are so moving and powerful, and they've helped thousands and thousands of people. So then I say, well, how big is your email list? And they'll look at me like, what are you talking about? They'll be 4 or 5 years in with no emails,
That's the
which
main. Yeah.
emails are the heart, blood
Yeah.
of the business,
Yeah.
contacts, leads, whatever language you want me to say it in,
Yeah.
sales and leads. It's costing you money not to know how to contact your people and
Absolutely.
contact them in an efficient way. You cannot be sending 1,000 emails off your Gmail account. You can't do it. People don't know that's illegal. I mean, like, it's the basics. And so they're so busy kind of being offended, maybe getting their feelings hurt because I'm saying it. I'm not judging. I'm just saying we got to get it right. We got to fix it.
Hmm.
We got to do better because over time, it's not a quick fix. It's not sexy. I think people want you to walk
Yeah.
in. There's people out here saying, "Oh, I brand and I market and I do this," and I guess they think as soon as I do something, the wheel turns. But it's like, no, we got to right a ship.
Yeah.
When we're on the right path, then you'll start seeing that pay off. And if you don't, I stand behind my work. I mean, if you know and I know that what I said and did
Yes.
help at all, I'm going to try to fix it.
Yes.
I'm not going to be like, oh, so sad, too bad. But I am going to say, I always tell people in consulting, here's what it is. You called someone because you didn't know how to do it. Then they told you how to do it. And I don't care how simple the answer was. If
Hmm.
it moved you from here to here to aha,
You gain
they
something.
did their job. You
Yes.
gained something. I think people think lightning is supposed to strike or fireworks go off when it's right. When the real simple answer is sometimes I'll be like, did do you have a Zoom account? You know what I mean? Like,
Simple.
hmm, yeah. And sometimes I sit with people and I'm like, they're mad. They hate Zoom. They don't want to be on Zoom. They don't want to host a meeting. They don't want to do this. And then I'm saying, have you ever checked your settings? And they're like, what are you talking about? And so now we spend 90 minutes doing Zoom settings. That's where your money went.
Wow.
Because if your settings were right, then your meeting would have went differently, you
They don't
know.
think that way.
And I get it. I mean, you don't know. I always say you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what
But
you don't know.
when you retain someone and that's what they know and you don't know, I think we just have to remove ourselves from it sometimes and let people help us.
Hmm.
And I don't know how that flies for me. I know, but I was thinking about this morning. I've got coaches and I've paid them money and they take
Yeah.
money out of my account every month. And sometimes it's like I'm not doing the work. They've talked about it and everybody go post and everybody, say this and do that. And I don't want to do it. So I didn't do it.
Mm.
And then the next week we're doing something else and I'm further behind now,
Wow.
or I check out. I decide I'm not going to that class, and then I don't watch the replay.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it. Whose fault is that?
Yeah.
Like that person is showing up, delivering, and
Yes.
I'm doing things. And so I'm using myself as an example because I've done it.
Hmm.
So I get it.
Yes.
But I do believe there's some self accountability in
It has to be.
what you're doing. And if you decide to work with someone who's helping you and there's somewhat of an accountability, we're not a partner in your business like that. And we're not a parent, we're not a spouse, we're not a person that you can just be like, here, you do it.
Hmm.
That's not what that is. We're in partnership to help it grow, to tell you something you didn't know,
You didn't know.
um, and to help you figure it out and to be there with you and hold space for you and want that to be successful and will reach out to their network and help you be successful and introduce you to people and make calls for you. Um, that's what I think, that's what I do.
So you can tell somewhat how a potential client's relationship will go from the very beginning, just with your few questions
Sort
that
of.
you ask.
Yeah, I would say, 60% of the time, and then I'm wrong 10 or 15% of the time. And sometimes I think I see in people and I believe something's happening that's probably not happening. And then,
Yeah.
a couple of calls in, it's like, oh wow, okay, okay, all right, here's what we got to do. But my point earlier is that I'm in these programs. Nobody calls me and says, "Hey, are you okay? Are you upset?" I mean, like I'm grown. I stopped
Yeah.
coming. Am I going to come? Am I going to join? Am I going to participate? Am I going to ask questions?
Right.
Um, I did have someone where genuinely I didn't get anything from it and
Mm.
they weren't showing up. And it was all of that. And it's the only person ever I've had to go back and say, mm-mm. I had to
Wow.
take them up on their money back guarantee, you know.
Wow.
Um, and it was like, no, I'm all in, but I don't think you showed up. But it
Absolutely.
happens. But for the most part, the honest truth when it's not working out with someone that I'm paying, it's me. I'm not doing the work.
Mm. Mm. Well, you are listening to the Listen and Learn series podcast. Again, my whole guest today is Miss Dorita Hatchett with DL Hatchett and Associates. Um, we've had some great conversation thus far, and a lot of it boils down to investing in yourself. Uh, investing in yourself means more than just the education, the knowledge, but a lot of times there's a cost involved with it as well. If you want help, you want that knowledge, you have to go seek it, but it also comes with a price. Uh, what about people who think that this is too expensive? What does it? I guess if they looked at it, they're maybe not realizing what it would cost them to not get the advice or not get the service. Uh,
Exactly. That, and here's the thing, I'm not for everybody and
mhm,
everybody's not for me.
absolutely.
But if we're in alignment with each other and I can do something for you and help you with your project and get it moving, um, I have my rates. And so I have learned because of that, even when someone has something and I think, oh, that's too expensive, that's me. I choose, that's just not a number I choose to put into my equation.
Right.
And so I don't do it and I go seek something out differently. And sometimes I've been burned and ended up right back where I started and had to pay that money. So I paid twice.
Gotcha.
Um, and sometimes I've been like, for me, it didn't have that value. And then there have been other things that I've paid, and it's like it paid dividends, for me to do. So I always, what is it costing you to not do it? I mean, who
Yeah,
else
that's
can
true.
you go to? If you don't come to me, I want to implore you to go to somebody because you need help. You can't do it alone.
Mhm.
And I don't think any of us can. And even as solopreneurs, I have a network of people. I use a virtual assistant in Puerto Rico. I
Mm,
started using one when I wasn't making any money. I was in the negative for a couple of years. And I said, if nobody gets paid around this camp, she's going to get paid. Because what I found is the stuff she took off
she'll
my
get paid.
plate,
Okay.
the value of that, you couldn't beat it. And
Yeah.
so it's like, now what I had to start doing with her is, hey, tell me when you get to this amount. Like when I've asked way too much,
Yeah.
let me know, pull my tail, because then I got to go figure out how to pay you.
Yeah.
But when I started doing my lunches last year where I was networking people together,
Yeah.
I would be sitting in my lunch and look down and she had changed something on my website and had something up and something was going on and I could tell she was handling it. And
Yeah.
I knew in that moment, that's an investment that I will always be
Well
making.
worth it.
It's well
Absolutely.
worth it. So, I pay now, someone to help me with my bookkeeping, and it's infrequently, but I can tell when she goes in, she starts asking questions and sending me stuff and saying, hey, make time to look at this. And so, she does it at her leisure, which is why it helps me work with her. So I'm
Absolutely.
not pressing her on when she does it. So I'm flexible with people who are being flexible with me. I have a coach. I have someone that helps me with some Facebook ad strategies. I outsource all of that because I am not in a position where I need to carry all that weight in my
Yeah.
business right
Yeah.
now.
And that's awesome. Small business, I mean, any business, honestly, if you're not doing those things to help position yourself, your company in the best way possible, then might have to just look in the mirror and be like, am I really in this for growth and in the long run? So I thank you. And how long have you had your relationship with your virtual assistant?
Ooh, okay, 6 years now, probably 5.
Wow.
I worked with a company before, and then I worked with a guy out of oh my God, the Canary Islands, and
Yeah.
used to love to hear his voice. I have used people in the Philippines and in some of the Asian countries. And the only challenge for me with that is they're very affordable, but on the time zone difference, if I'm working on an event, it means I have to stay up overnight to have
Yeah.
conversations with them and to get information. But if it's good and you send the right stuff, and then when you wake up, it's done and all of that, it's very effective. And so, what I've started doing in my business is that I know what my virtual assistant can do, and
Mhm.
some people really don't even need much. They need 2, 3
Right.
hours, pulling their list together, sending out an email. So I've started doing that as a service to people to say, hey, for her, I end up bundling all my hours together.
Gotcha.
So because I have work from different people, then we give her enough for it to make sense for her to work with me.
That makes sense. That
And
makes
so,
sense.
um,
Um, do you work with nonprofits? And how does the
absolutely.
strategy business strategist or strategy work with nonprofits?
Here, it's the same because here's my thing, and everybody, this is what I tell people who call me. A nonprofit is a business, a business entity.
Yeah.
It has not for profit status, which is an IRS. It's a tax
Yes.
situation. That's it. And so, they start the same way in terms of incorporating and all of that. And so we have to all be on the same page about that fundamental principle first, or else I won't even work with you. But
Got
I spend my life coming up through the nonprofit ranks. That's really where I am really, really strong. I've gotten away because um, a lot of people equate having a nonprofit with being broke as an entity.
you. Mm,
And it's totally a mindset. I want to help the people and I want to love on the people so much that I'm willing to spend every dime that I have personally. I will not stop and do what I need to do and put it in place so that I can effectively fundraise.
right.
I think that I'm going to event myself out of this hole I'm in. It does not work. And it's way more of a poverty mindset with nonprofits because they're just trying to help people and their heart is in it. And you're not going to tell me that I'm not doing the best job ever, but people are stressed and broke and
Yeah.
all of these things. And it just is not, it's not, I just had to kind of leave that alone. I help people form. For example, I really work now with businesses that want nonprofits because then they understand when I start saying, "Hey, this is a business. It's not an organization. It's not a club. It's not a hobby. You don't start these things and then walk away and never like touch them for years or
Absolutely.
anything." And people are letting them just die. And then, I'm in these Facebook groups where it's like, I think I lost it. Like, you have no concern. If this was your for-profit business,
Yes.
you would be screaming, and I tell people, if you walked away from your business
Yeah.
that you do, Jason, if you didn't go to work for the next 3 to 6 months,
Hmm.
what would happen to your business? You'd be out of business.
You'll be out of
And they don't
business.
seem to have the same respect for being out of business as a nonprofit.
Mm,
That's a community organization. When you
correct.
set that up, you are responsible to the community.
Correct.
It's a public entity. And so it's not yours. And people get offended when I
They
say
get
that.
offended. Yeah.
It's not yours. It isn't. If you have a good board, a really good board, I tell everyone that I start, do it like you want to do it, because by year 10, your board might get rid of you.
Right.
So
Right.
you've got to do your best to make this be what you thought it was so people will respect that in the long run. Because if you don't, then they'll be like, she's not, they will fire you as
Yeah.
the founder. And
Yeah.
you will be looking at your stuff from afar if it's done right. Anybody who, let me just say this is my PSA. If you have had your organization and it's been struggling for more than 5 or 6 years and you don't have a board, or you have a board that you're making all the decisions and you're running over everybody and all of that, you don't really have the right kind of entity set up at all. And so you want to do that very quickly. And it doesn't matter if it's in year 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be cognizant and be willing to do the
Be
right thing
cognizant
by
and
the people
willing.
and by the people you serve. Mhm.
Absolutely. Well said. And couldn't have said that any better. So let's kind of shift a little bit because I know time. I want to respect your time as well. But you have 2020. I mean, 2021. You'll have an event that you're working on coming up. And can you tell us a little bit about that before we start getting ready to close this out?
Yeah, well, this is my faith walk. So I'm always like behind people and, I'm like in behind the scenes. I'm the number two. I'm like, go, go, go. And about 2 months ago, I did an event where it was called They Are Waiting on You.
Mm,
And it was to people to start having a conversation about why are we kind of hiding our gifts and why are we hiding what we know? If we were to
mm,
put it out there, we could bless some people. And that was just me kind of feeling my way through what I wanted to do because people see me as this or that.
yes.
But where my heart lies in my business is to say, hey, we've got to learn how to do what it is that we want to do, that we know in our heart we're supposed to do and who we're supposed to serve.
Mhm.
It's that thing you would do if you didn't need any money.
Absolutely.
Um, And so, hey, let's figure out then how can you do that thing and make money? So
Mm,
I decided that I'm gonna set up a summit, and I have a list. Actually, I have 64 people on my list to ask
wow.
that will fill 15 spaces where I'm really gonna talk about this thing we talked about today, which was not just like the pivot. Okay, I was doing this and now I'm doing that. But when people really discovered what it is I love to do, what it is I can do. I'm really good at this. So you can be a librarian if you want to, because that's what you went to school to do.
Yeah.
But if you really love to do this, I'm going to show you how to make money doing it. And so we're
Awesome.
going to just talk about it's just a little piece of what I do, big picture, but it's called the Big Idea Summit. And I'm doing it on Thursday, January the 7th. And so if people are watching today or they're watching in the replay, then they can go to my website and sign up. The sales page is not live yet. It'll be live next week. But if you put your email down, I'm going to send an email out to everybody on my list to get registered. And what I'm going to do is everybody who's on my list up to Christmas that joins, I've got a discount for them to be in the VIP. I'm not going to do replays for the public. So, if you sign up and you miss it, you
Yeah.
miss it. But if you do a VIP package, you'll get the recordings and some other bonuses that I have. And so I've kind of got some limits on that when I want people to sign up. But it's your big idea. It's how to take that idea and flesh it out. You already know what it is. You know how to do it. So I'm not teaching you how to do it. You got to know. And
You
so
got
let me see. Can I let me see. Can I use your wife as an example?
you can.
Okay, Talia, sorry. But so I don't know if she wants people to know this or not, but here's an example.
Hey, this
Talia,
is this is wide open.
okay. So Talia, Jason's wife, is is a great golfer. She's great. And I think if Talia really could, whatever bill she pays or whatever she contributes to the family, if she could have that and more, and could do that with her time and spend time with her children
Yes.
and be, not necessarily be at home. Everybody don't always want to be at home all day or whatever, but basically move like she wants to move using golf as a platform, because there are people out there who there's executives that want to learn. There are women executives who are being left out of the boardroom and left out of decisions because they don't play golf. And if she knows how to teach someone how to play golf in 12 weeks, then that's a way for her to make money. Now, I don't care if that's Christmas money.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
care if
money.
that's birthday money, family vacation money, whatever, get Jason out of jail money. I don't know what that looks like.
It's
Um,
money.
but it's money. And so everybody's why and reason is going to be different. Some people are going to be like, I want to start a business. Some people are like, hey, I've been out of work since COVID started and I still don't have a job. And it's getting rough out here. Um, the worst thing someone can say to me right now is that you are waiting on someone to hire you, because I'm going to sit you down and we're going to talk about what do you know or what do you do that you really like to do. And you could do it
Right.
with your eyes closed. And maybe I can show you a way that you can monetize it. And so, in your own way, you keep your full time job. I don't care. This is whatever. This is extra money. This is
Yeah.
travel money. Some of it might look like you get an MLM or whatever. I have no qualms about what it is, but I can show you a path that you can make money doing it. And so
Awesome.
it's a new
Awesome.
thing to say I'm doing it, but it's what I've been doing, And in any setting, I'm going to end up talking to somebody about what they're doing and how they can make money doing it. So I'm stepping out in it. I'm going to bless some people, whoever joins on. So if they go to my website, can I share my website?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's www.dlhatchett.com, and you can get on my email list. And I don't know if you have it or not, but you can get on my calendar at connectwithdorita.com.
Hmm.
Dorita. So yeah,
Yeah.
you can straight get on the calendar if you want to talk more, or just get on my email list. And whenever I have stuff coming up, I don't email a lot, but I email when it's relevant, when I'm
Yeah.
sharing information, when I'm sharing opportunities, when I'm introducing people to things, or I'm introducing people to the clients I work with. So I don't email a lot. So if you want to get on the list, I'd love to have you there, and I'd love to share it with you. So hopefully
Awesome.
you'll join me for my Big Idea Summit.
Absolutely. And just to kind of piggyback off of one, the events that Dorita puts on are first class. I mean, I can even say even down to a basketball tournament, it's first class. You're gonna get the best uh, that you want out of this opportunity. And so I say everybody, please follow Miss Dorita. You have her website. I'll send it across the screen again so you all will know. Um, the Big Idea Summit. It'll be here before you know it. So don't miss out on the opportunity to take advantage of this VIP special she has. Um, she has shared a lot of things with me. She's smart and she's quick. That's another feature and a gift that she has, because I've called her and just talked to her and just mentioned something, and she literally created a plan within a matter of minutes. I mean, that's exceptional. And but what I took from that is not so much, her ability. It's just like that's her drive to want to help, and what she sees that, somebody like myself, a business owner, my wife, we may not look at all the time and be like, oh, okay. It may give you that aha moment, or that moment to where you have to think like, you know what, I need to go back and revisit this because X, Y, and Z. And then, it's just a matter of what you do with it. Do not waste time with an opportunity, because somebody else will do it if you keep waiting too long. But to say the least, she's great at what she does, and I'm not saying that just because she's my friend. I just watch for what she do for other companies, other businesses, and so that's where my support is going to always come from. I know, as relationship wise, what we'll get, but what I see her do for everybody else, and who she's connected with, and how she brings value, definitely is a wonderful thing. So thank you. We've talked about your website. We talked about how we can get on your calendar. Um, I know you don't really give like any, uh, I guess what to say, advice. You talk strategy, and it's not so much as giving advice. It's just like, okay, that's that's what I understand what your issue may be, but here, let's go dig in right here. This is how we can do it. Um, Understanding your why, that end game. That's very important. And so I'd say if anybody has any thoughts, any ideas about anything, nothing else, reach out to Dorita. You know, I don't think she would, be upset if you contact her and just be like, I'm just not sure about this. If What are your thoughts? And then let it, if it's something that, is important to you, as the theme of this show has almost been investing in yourself. Why not do it? She's local. She can make it
I was
happen.
gonna say that, if I can, and so, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, I
Mhm.
used to get called. Everybody used to wanna take me to lunch,
Ah,
and I knew if I was getting a lunch date, somebody wanted to run it by me, and, lunch or coffee, and so when I started charging $79, to meet for coffee, people were like, "Whoa," but what it did was it weeded out who was really not trying to,
absolutely.
do the investment. And so I'd say, what's the most expensive cup of coffee you're ever going to have? But the reason is because I had to learn, because I was talking too much. And so why buy me if I'm going to talk all, whatever. So I look at it like this. I'm not going to do you like some coaching programs teach people, where they say, okay, I'm going to tell you just enough. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you what, I'm not going to tell you how, or I'm going to tell you enough to get you to buy the next thing. I
Mm,
honestly don't have time to figure all that out. I don't have
right.
time to work that process. So I'm negligent in that. I don't do that. So I charge for things so that I can just freely be in the scenario. I'm not worried about what's the next move. I'm not worried about, are you going to hire me or not? If and I do 30 minutes free. I do.
Mhm.
So it's on my calendar. There's two options. One's paid and one is 30 minutes. And the 30 minutes, I probably am going to listen more and ask a lot of questions so that I can understand
Yes.
what's going on and know what we're talking about. And if you pay for it, then I'm probably going to just like give you what I think you called me for, just to differentiate what those are on my calendar.
Right.
So when he says I don't give advice, it's like I really do try to stop, especially if I don't know you, because I don't really have a whole background of what it is
Hmm.
that's bringing you to me, to that point. And to Jason's point, you may call me and think it's about one thing, and then I might turn it around and be like, well, so what about over here? What is this thing? Because I think that those things are connected.
Mhm.
Um, and I that does shock people.
Yeah.
But that's what I do.
I
So
mean, that's needed. I mean, that's a literally it's needed. So, uh, like I said earlier, the theme of this show has obviously it's making sure that you get your business in line, and if you have something to follow it, and how we can best do that. But investing in yourself, I like to ask all my guests if there anything they can leave, anything they have to say, books. I know Dorita, and as she has mentioned throughout this this episode of and over her years, how much she has invested in herself and being prepared to invest in what you want to see happen. um, is that your vision to be
yeah,
able
I
to?
just I guess if I go back to the word about, I would just say, be intentional.
Mhm.
And so maybe intentionality encompasses all those things, which is invest in yourself and, pay for the help you're looking for. Sometimes it's not even that whole thing about, oh, if it's free, it ain't worth it and all that. It's just more like you need skin in the game.
Mhm.
What will make you get up and do that thing that you haven't been doing? Because if you
Right,
were doing it, you wouldn't be looking for someone to help you do it. It's
right,
really cyclical. And it's like, that's what I know while you're talking to me. And the whole time while you're telling me why you're not, what you're not going to do and all of that. That's what I'm thinking. Like, then what's this call about? Like, I didn't call
absolutely.
you. So if you're intentional, then that means you are looking for the things that will help you move forward in your idea, your business. And I say idea or business because everybody is not cut out. Everybody's not trying to start a business. And I get it. So you may just be doing something where you've decided, I want to put on a really big event for this reason and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
People do that, and then what they do is they raise money and all of that. They're not even a charity. So for me, it's all of the questions. It's like, what's the goal? What are we trying to do? Then, I'm going to ask you questions like that.
Yeah.
Do you have a 501c3? Are you connected to anybody? Do you want to host it? And Jason, it's actually, I started my nonprofit for that reason because
Mm.
I had so many people call me to do charitable events who were not charitable entities at all,
Wow.
where they had been doing them. And what people need to know is it's really like really unethical to do it because
Yeah.
people will assume that you have your stuff together because of the way you speak about it.
Yeah.
And so when you speak about fundraising and donations and all of that, and you look like a nonprofit, then I'm going to assume you're a
You're
nonprofit.
assuming they're
And,
nonprofit.
and that's illegal and it's all kind of things. And so, I'm going to challenge you on things like that. So the question is going to be, so are you coming to me so we can get a nonprofit together? Or are you coming to me so I can find one that you can partner with? Or I'm going to encourage you to say, hey, partner, if you want to do the work, if that's important to you, let's do the work. Let's find
Right.
someone else that may be the beneficiary or things like that. But I want you to do whatever it is you want to do. And I would love to help you find the path to do that. So being intentional means all of those things to me. And that would be the advice I would give. And if it's not me, you can call me and tell me what you want to do. And maybe
Right.
there's someone I can refer you to. And I think I love someone picked up on that because it's like, yeah, I'm serving my way out of this situation.
Mm.
So every moment isn't about money for me at
Yeah.
all. It is about just respecting my time and my value and my whatever
That's
I bring to the
the thing.
table, which is when I ask for, a contract or something. But other
Absolutely.
than that, I'm going to talk to you. So I love to meet new people. I love to hear new stories and see how I can support you. And if that's calling someone else, I'm so okay with that. I just want to thank people for even taking the time to think that I would have
Absolutely.
something to say that would benefit them.
Absolutely. Um, well, I mean, you've heard it here. Um, there's been a lot of wisdom. There's been a lot of insight and different tactics, and just an overall message of if you want to take your business seriously, it's going to require your input to be strong and investing in yourself. And we heard as Dorita shared. So if you are listening to, I mean, looking to take your business to the next level, feel free to reach out to her. I've shared the website and I'll do it again. But if you see down at the screen, you'll see how to connect and get on her calendar. She will offer you a 30-minute session, as you know, depending on, when the availability is. But she's going to give you the real and the raw, and what you should hear and what you should want to hear, because nobody can always assume that everything they do is right, and you do need somebody to, tell you and help you. And so I've been appreciative of, like I said, hearing and seeing and watching her work over the years, and I've not seen many dissatisfied customers at all. So you're doing something right, and you're following your passion, and the pivot that you made with it, it's appreciative, and we can't do nothing but commend you for that. So thank you again, Dorita. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will say
Absolutely.
that I block off some time sometimes. And so if you're trying and the times don't work for you, just go to my website and just send me a note. And
Gotcha.
I'll see if I can open up something for you. But Jason, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the opportunity. I
Absolutely.
know we kind of went back trying to get this scheduled, but I really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I appreciate knowing you and knowing your family and
Thank you.
um, yeah, and all the things that you guys have done to help, even with things that I was putting on,
Yeah,
your
it's
family's
been fun.
always been there. And I love involving the children. We didn't get to talk about
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
When I go, I want my legacy to be, I want a room full of young people who feel
Yeah.
like I positively impacted
Absolutely.
their life. And that's
And
important to me. And as I see one of my friend's daughter is going to FAMU this year.
oh,
And I
awesome.
mean, so just hanging on the phone, talking with, someone going to college and I've been putting them to work since they were like 13. I mean,
You have
okay.
to.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not
gonna build.
violating laws and labor laws. I'm just saying, but
It's gonna
I
build
like to.
character.
Yeah, I like to. Your kids. I love to just put them
Yeah.
to work, and then when they're doing it, it's like teach them something because
Yeah.
a lot of people are not doing that right now, and that we're
Absolutely.
not raising our kids to be the kind of adults that we want to see in
You're
them. So
absolutely right.
you guys are doing. You guys got some great kids, and they're hard workers and they're responsible. So
Well, well.
I love to see them grow. Well, I don't know about the day to day, but in general, yeah,
Thank you
in
so
general.
much. No, we appreciate it. We appreciate our relationship, and it's been great. And I actually met Dorita through my wife, through golf. Well, my wife and Dorita did some things with golf, and it just kind of went from there. But God puts good people in your way for a reason, and uh, it's been that way ever since. And we're thankful for her. We're thankful for her, and being an inspiration from us, like on the outside looking in, just being able to see how far you've come and what you're doing. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I just want to close real quick, and being able to grow and expand your company, it does require smart strategy, as we've heard today, but also a clear process. Good companies, they tend to stumble upon opportunities, and you always want to do your best to take advantage of them. Great companies make innovation core process, and they invest time, they invest money and energy, and into finding new ways to expand that. And so their reach can be more value when you look and do these things. So um, this concludes our episode. Dorita, again, thank you for your time. And I know you probably have much to do, but I hope that
Yeah, we're
everyone.
giving
Awesome.
away those trees.
I know that's right. Uh, I hope that everyone has enjoyed this show. I hope that it's been helpful, and I thank you all for tuning in. This is something new for me. I had to step out of my box, and I said in 2021 I want to move from just the audio and uh, try this live, and the only reason is because why not? At the end of the day, why not? What do you have to lose? I'm not going to look at myself as a failure because I know what I've tried and I've done more. And so the same, like Dorita said, it's fun. It's literally fun. And so there are many things that you could have been listening to, but you chose to listen with us today. So I'm grateful for that. If you did enjoy today's show, you can follow Listen and Learn Series podcast. It's through mostly all streaming apps that podcasts run on. You also can now find us on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and it was sponsored by Leap HR Solutions Group. So definitely check that out. And anybody have any HR needs, recruiting, staffing needs, and training development, we are here to help. But again, thank you to my guests, and remember, everybody, um, take the information that you hear, whether it's here or anywhere, but make the most of it. Time is short. We all have a gift inside of us, an ability to do more than what we do. Let's not be our own barrier, and overcome and do things that we want to. So thank you all, and I wish you all much success and be encouraged.